Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I have with me my dear friend Gourav, who in his first attempt scored a 630 in GMAT but later improved his score to 700. And before delving deeper into his GMAT journey, let's first get an outlook on how his life was like at that point of time and what's his background.
Hey, hi. Uh, thanks for calling me here. Um, my journey is a typical general engineer, male guy, born and brought up in a Meerut, UP. Um, and for almost 15 years, I worked for Infosys and, in and around, uh, kind of in globetrotter. Almost spent 10 years in US, Europe, Mid East. Uh, in India, I worked on, got a chance to work in almost all cities. In my life, I've, worked in 33 cities, almost in 6 countries. And journey has been terrific, moving from point to point and living in a nomad life. Still managed to clear GMAT. That's something big for me, at least, and I hope I was able to give you something here today. Yeah.
So your first attempt, there was quite a lot of time difference between your first and the second attempt. And can you tell us more about how it went around? Why did you decide to give GMAT in the first place? And then why did you end up taking a break of 5 years before your second GMAT?
So I gave my first attempt in 2013, and I tell you what, like I was one of those guys, who were wanted to do an MBA because all my friends are doing an MBA, and that's typical, feeling comes with. So maybe in the beginning, my preparation was kind of in bias with that sense. So I have to say that my planning and my motivation level was not that great at that time. Even in 2013, I got married in 2012, and I took some time a break from my family. Kept on focusing here, but because of lack of planning, that time I was in Bangalore, and at that time I was in Infosys campus.
How many years of experience did you have
I have 14 and a half, so almost 15 year of
at that point of time?
That point of time it would be 9 plus.
Okay.
Yeah, was 9 plus. So I went for it. I scored 99 percentile in maths,
Okay.
and I messed up my verbal. That kind of bring down my whole score.
That's
down.
kind of a surprise because your English and command on language is pretty good.
So one thing I say that English as a conversation is a different thing, but when you are studying English for a GMAT, I want to highlight it like, it's like a GRE emphasize more on the grammar part of English. In GMAT is more on the reasoning part, it's more on the comprehension part, how well you understand the context of a sentence rather than certain grammatical, details of it. It's a part, but the weightage is more on the reasoning sense of English. So at that time, my English command on my English was uh, on mostly on the conversation piece. And in the next 5 year, based on my learnings from the GMAT, what I did actually, is that now instead of just learning English as a speaking, if just for conversation purpose, how did I incorporated some of the learnings of reasoning in my day-to-day life? So I'll tell you what, like in critical reasoning, we studied about understanding the assumption piece of it. I was one day talking to one of the McKinsey consultant, and he shared that idea with me that during his start, when he started his career, one of his boss told him that I don't want you to sit in a meeting and just listen the conversation. I want you to question the assumptions, question why somebody is making that statement, and understand the depth behind it, or the causality of certain statement. So what happened, because I faltered, it came up as a big shock to me. I did not expect it to do that badly, to quite frankly. That was not the score I was looking for. So I incorporated all the learnings in my life. So day to day, when I'm speaking to somebody, whether it's my professional life or personal life, now I'm looking at, hey, is that statement is a fact, or is it just an assumption he's telling me, or is there is a causality in that sentence or the statement he's making it, why he said that when he said that, so when I incorporated those things, suddenly the next time the critical reasoning was one of the easiest part for me, but not from the first side. So yeah, you incorporate some of the lessons as you're learning in your life, and that helps you. So yeah.
So after the first attempt, why didn't you re-attempt GMAT in a near time vicinity? Why did you wait for 5 years?
It mixed and bag of things. I got promoted. I moved back to US as a senior program manager, so I was given very high responsibilities. My portfolio of account was almost 100 plus people. I didn't have that time. Mix of bag of things happened. Then my daughter also came, and then I couldn't devote time to my studies or anything else. Like she became my priority, and other things happen in personal life, and sometimes you need that spark and that motivation to come in. Uh, if you are in that zone, then it's fine. Otherwise, it takes time. So the build up happened with me over the period. Like when I settled down in my professional career as well, that hey, now I'm managing my account well. I'm able to get the time because I understand that hey, my academic background, to be frank, like in Indian context, it's not brilliant. I would say it's an above average academic background I had. So I knew that I have to devote more time compared to other people. Yes, maths came natural to me, and in my confident level actually came from because I was in 99 percentile in first attempt, Q51. So maths came natural to me, but in English I need to cover up a lot, and to cover up that lot, the time it required, I did not want to do a half-baked attempt now. I needed some help. I needed some planning and approach to it. So working on those things take time. But when I actually started, it took me just 6 months from my actual start. Like 3.5 year, I was not doing anything on it. So from actual start to the final attempt was just 6 months, and that I was able to cover up. It was I was inspired by Bruce Lee's statement, like I was eating like a bird. I enroll into GMAT clubs. So what they do is they on daily level they send you 5 questions in English and font. On daily basis, I was solving those questions. That was my daily exercise. Whether I do something or not, whether I learned a lesson or not, my whole thing was that I'm going to solve those 5 questions on a daily basis. So I was eating like a bird, bit by bit. But the other thing I was doing in parallel was any lesson I'm having from it, I was not ignoring it. I was making sure any lesson from solving a question was becoming a learning, and it's getting recorded somewhere. Either I will formally document it. So I prepared a whole log. All of us do that thing. We prepare a log of Excel that hey, now in my case was if I falter on a question, I will go back and spend 20 minutes, half an hour it, why I failed on it, why I was not able to recognize a reading comprehension sentence because the context here, somebody played a ball on us and he gave us a double negative sentence. So why did I miss that part? Because suddenly he, used a modifier. I missed that modifier, and was couldn't answer it. So now it's coming to me that hey, this is why I did wrong. So let's make sure same mistake. You can hit me once, hit me twice, but third time I would not give you that space. So it took me in that 6 months. I benefited from that pace. That hey, now those lessons have become learnings, and I've really incorporated that in my life. So that yeah.
And after 4 years, when you actually gave your second attempt at GMAT, what motivated you to take that second attempt at that point in your life?
So now the motivations were slightly different. So earlier were all my friends are doing. Now it was that hey, I am kind of hitting a glass ceiling. Engineering degree can help you so much so. And now I wanted to do an MBA to take in having some acceleration in my career path. Have a formal degree from from some esteemed recognized college. So I finally I was able to score 2 universities in US, and in India I scored Lucknow, Calcutta, Ahmedabad. I was able to convert. Did not apply for ISB at that time, or so.
I'm Bangalore.
I am Bangalore. Apparently, I got to know that they are more interested in profile age from 4 to 6 year kind of a thing. So
I think it's 4 to 10, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was 14 and a half plus when I was applying for it. So I did not even got an invite for interview and all that. So I didn't. But where I applied, I was able to convert.
And aside from these formal preparation part,
Mhm.
because you had, as you were so much advanced in your career, you had work responsibilities as well, family responsibilities as well. How were you able to segregate time out of it in order to devote to your studies?
So in my case, one of funny thing happened. We had a public library. There's a concept of public libraries in US. Pretty much in all the counties you'll find them. I literally, you know, took one seat for me. So every day, 5 and 6, there is a gap of before my offshore comes in and I have to take a call. There is a gap of 2 to 3 hours for me. 5:30, I will leave office, go home, just throw my bag, or sometimes straight from office I'll go to library. I will sit there for 2 to 3 hours. That was my plan. In those 3 hours, I will not get disturbed by anybody. It takes sacrifice. My daughter, she at that time she had developed her character. She had her own personality. She understood that okay, Papa is going to study, so she would not disturb me even at that time. Even my wife supported me big time. I would just go sit in library, focus on my work, focus on my things, and that was the time I was devoting, because now by 9 or 10 I have to back at home, take a dinner, and be next ready for for the offshore calls. So I was using that window religiously uh, for it. So managing the time in between, it was a challenge, but still I was able to use that window. Sometimes I would just get half an hour to study, but I was trying to make it more more efficient as much as possible. So I used that much extensively. Then I took GMAT club. I used a lot. I looked at other people's experience. How did they manage? I was inspired by a story from one of the lady. She gave a birth to a child, and in her 6th month, she was able to clear GMAT at a high score. So I took an inspirations literally from some of those stories, that hey, if she can do it, like my professional work, my personal life is not compared to somebody giving a birth to a child and responsible for a newborn. Being a father, I have seen that it's tough. you know it's owning something else, life's responsibility in your hand, and managing it. So if she can do it, I don't have any excuse. So by this time now, the motivation levels was very high. I had that spark with me, that I want to do it. I have to do it, and I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I was mentally ready that hey, if I falter this time again, like I was targeting for 700 plus score, saying if I falter this time, that's okay. Now I'm not going to take this much long break. I'm going to come back in next month or two, and I'll give it again. So that time motivation level was high. It comes inherently in you. You
And
know
what
that. Yeah.
about weekends? Did you devote any additional hours during the weekends, or did you block a particular time during the
Mhm.
weekends to focus more on your study?
So weekends was, I in IT industry, I don't think we have weekends, but still, weekends were mostly an extra 2 hours on the basis. But yeah, that's it. So I'll go to a coffee house on weekend. That was something to different, to change that place. I will go to coffee house, or maybe to a different a library, or somewhere I can get some solitude. That's it. So but just a couple of extra hours. I believe that if you devote too much of a time, it doesn't help as well. A productive 2 to 3 hour is sufficient. And if you notice, right, there are not so many lessons in GMAT as such. For example, somebody is doing a study for IIT. There are so many concepts in chemistry, biology, and maths, that you have to literally practice each and everything.
And even if you study for 12 hours a day, you won't be able to complete everything that exists on the syllabus.
So the difference I created in my study was recognizing that hey, these are the concepts or the lessons in, for example, critical reasoning. There are 8 types of general buckets that we categorize the critical reasoning questions. So the lessons or the concepts are not that long. What we have to do is, depending upon a context, a question could become a complex. Same question on the same concept can be asked in a bit very easy language. For example, I can say that hey, he is good, or I can say that he is not bad. In critical reasoning concept, it could be equated as saying that somebody may be good or somebody may be normal, in that sense. So the idea was the concepts are less, understand what those are, and you know, so in that sense 2-3 hour is sufficient if you are devoting it properly. And the other thing I did was mostly focusing on the problem solvings, not problem solving, not in maths, but in general solving the questions in a real time, in a real manner, that hey, I should not devote more than a minute and a half on a typical question, for example in a math, and similar time frame in verbal. Once I have spent the time on solving that question, now I can devote 20 minutes in figuring it out, what went wrong.
Yeah.
So while solving a question, just give it a minute. But while analyzing the question, there is no limit, because once the analysis is done, even the question maker, he is bounded by the rules of the game. Rules of the game is these are 8 types. You have to ask within those 8 types, and in that given space, you can only merge 2 or 3 concepts together. Like for example, again in an IIT setup, you can make a question very complex. You can add a maths into a chemistry question, or add a chemistry into a mathematical question. When I can give you a chemistry equation and use an applied mathematics to solve it. But here in GMAT, you can do so much. So because of the limitations of the space over there. So again, the idea is, if focus on the concepts, see what the segregations are in those concepts, where are you faltering, right? Which places you are in. Prepare your error log, make sure you maintain it religiously, make sure you looked at it, and I'll see that hey, if I'm failing at this place, what do I need to do? So in that sense, just 2-3 hours is sufficient if you plan well and execute well.
Now, going forward to the resources that you
Mhm.
use during this span of preparation, can you elaborate more on that?
So I used eGMAT and GMAT Club. For majority of the needs, it's the GMAT Club was my go-to place. Thanks to them, I think they were free of cost, and the kind of an effort they have put in building all the content and the resources was great. So GMAT Club. Second, I officially enrolled into eGMAT course I took.
You took it for both verbal and quant?
Yes, I took.
Okay.
I took
A
for
complete package.
complete
Yes.
package. I took. Later on, I just had verbal, but initially I took both. But I didn't want it to miss anything. I got that from the forum itself. I got that sense that from people who are coming from non-native or English as a second language, eGMAT was more effective than not. Took online content help of Manhattan and as well Magoosh. I was able to get Magoosh subscription second hand from the market in just $20, like that. I was able to get Manhattan's question set exams in couple of bucks during a Thanksgiving sale. So like that I managed, and I was a user of, in India we have Olex. I will go to Olex, find somebody who's selling a book. So I got all the 8 GMAT Manhattan's book, scored it from there, and in just a few bucks. It was not expensive at all. So in that sense, I might
You
have.
acquired as many resources as possible, as many resources you can get.
I needed help.
Yeah.
That's how I would say. And then the idea was, go through all of them, see what is unique in it. Uh, there were books, I remember maths books. I just
Were you
yeah.
able to go through all the resources that you had, like completely going through all of them?
So one, to be clear, when I acquired Manhattan, it was only for the question sets, because I wanted to give more exams to have a real life, simulation. That he, because I learned from a lot of people, and even in the first part was that by the time I finished maths, I was so exhausted that English was not coming naturally to me, and I was struggling very hard in my first attempt. Now in these simulation, exams, when I followed, the real life scenario, the whole idea was that don't have that same feeling. So make sure you have your chocolate. Make sure the glucose is reaching your brain at the right time. So when you need it most, you should have it. So the idea was, so I took the question set from the books whichever I prepared. If I knew the concept, I'm very strong on it. It's just like, okay, turn the page and move over. So some of the books I was able to finish it in 2 hours, because I knew those questions. I did not want to waste my time on it. It was the whole idea was, let's see if I missed one or two concept, and if yes, then just pick it up. Otherwise, leave it. So Yeah.
And what about official guide? You haven't mentioned anything
Oh
about
yeah.
it yet.
Official guide is, and it's the uh, it it was kept for me. It was kept towards the end. I kept it for the end. I wanted to use it because a lot of people told me that at least the complexity of the question is not that high. And if you solve, for example, Manhattan's question, if you are able to score, for example, 720, 730 on a Manhattan simulation question paper, you will be having a better chances of scoring 750 or 60 in the real life. So in that sense, and if you're using an official guide, most of the questions of official guide you either get it through GMAT Club or in some form and shape from other places. I kept it purposefully towards the end so that their level doesn't seem to be that high. That hey, I'll solve them right before a month before it to see I shouldn't have missed anything. So official guide, if you're going into so many places, or not so many, rather three, you're going to three places, you are covering those questions to some extent. So if you are wondering, do you need to spend money? If you are into GMAT or a GMAT club, you get those questions anyhow. So you can use the resources more effectively. Overall, I spend roughly $200, not more than that, on the complete set, and I think that's kind of a budget which everybody has it to spend on their studies. So yeah.
And what were the kind of scores you were getting on practice tests before
Mm.
you took your actual GMAT?
So on the second one, what happened? I took this time English first and maths later because by the time the ordering we could decide. I was getting consistently score of 750, 760. Even on Manhattan preps, I was getting, when I got scored 750 consistently on Manhattan prep, that gave me confidence that hey, now I'm ready to go.
And that's when you booked your GMAT, or did you book your GMAT in advance?
I booked in advance.
Okay.
If you have that clock ticking on your head, it always works.
Okay.
Uh, if you not, I've seen not only me, I've seen more often than not, even with my friends, they tend to delay. So just make sure you book your slot first. Obviously, looking at your schedule in next 3 months or 2 months, whichever you're planning to. For some people, even 2 months or 1 month is good. I needed 3 months for that. So in the next 3 months, I saw my schedule, and in my case, there's a funny story. My sister's marriage was scheduled. I did not wanted to go to the marriage with GMAT in my mind. I thought I'll give it. I know I'm going to score it, and I'll attend the marriage, free of mind with anything. So right before it, I pre-scheduled it, and I went in to give it. So yeah.
And as a closing comment, what would you want to suggest somebody who has similar responsibilities as you?
Mhm.
How should they approach their entire GMAT preparation?
So somebody coming from my background in the sense, 35 plus, senior leadership position, managing a big team, I would say, and having a family with kid and everybody, just follow the Rahul Dravid strategy is what I say. So see the difference. Sachin was natural player for lot many people. Rahul Dravid did had some strong capabilities, but he may not be as natural as Sachin Tendulkar. So what he compensated that is by regular practice. Is what the reason he became a wall. There are stories you might have seen that in a lot of videos that he would practice. Sometimes the same shot, sometimes the same shot, some same ball in a different shot placement, but he would practice, or eat like a bird, but or your turtle strategy that you remain focused, don't get discouraged. Things get complex, but it's the journey which gives you better learnings in your life. So I enjoyed the journey for sure. When I incorporated the lesson, in that sense. So you stick to your thing, don't get demotivated, plan your things, and if one or two simulation games you fail, just see what happened, spend time on it, and try to see how do you need to cover it. Don't feel shy to take help from even from your juniors or from anybody who can give you better advice. Don't feel shy. You have to let go your ego. I know coming from a senior person, it sometimes it makes sense that hey, why should I go and take from it? So stick to your guts, believe in yourself, uh, and you obviously need support from your family acknowledge their help whenever they are giving your support to you. Like I remember every time I needed a tea, and my wife will wake up and say, she, even though she was sleeping or not, she know that I needed a tea, so she'll make it. So acknowledge their help, whatever they are doing. Focus on your work, be motivated, and you'll see the things turn around. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, for
Yeah.
the inspiring stories
Mhm.
that you shared. Actually, there were quite a lot of them during the entire span of the video,
Mhm.
and I hope they can inspire some of you to take up GMAT, even if you have taken a break between your first and the second attempt. And Gaurav's story is a great example that it doesn't matter at what stage you are in your life, you can still invest in GMAT. And the way Gaurav has came here and spent his entire 1 year journey at IIM Ahmedabad, and he's one of the very dedicated student here. So, what I want to end this video at is, it doesn't matter whenever you are inspired, whenever you feel you can devote that energy, and even your past defeat shouldn't come in your way that you won't be able to achieve something great at this moment. So let go of all those things and prepare for your dream, prepare for your goal, because it's not just about the exam, it's about the entire life that you have planned for yourself. And on that note, I would like to end the video. If you have any questions or queries for Gaurav, please do mention in the comments. I'll rope him in so that he can answer all of them. And in the end, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I have a lot more interviews coming up which will be relatable to each one of you. That's why do subscribe to the channel. If you like Gaurav's journey, do like the video and ask your questions in the comment. Bye.
Thank you. Do subscribe.